So I'm Karthik. I'm going to be your instructor for today's demo session. So can you guys please confirm that you're able to hear me properly? You can actually use the question box provided to give me feedback. Hi, all of you can hear me? All right, perfect guys, thank you. So we have around 47 of you who have joined us, so that's very heartening to note. Usually as part of every demo, I first try to read out the name of students who have joined us, but I think since there are 47 of you, I'll probably skip that part. So once again, I welcome all of you. So today's session is actually meant for two things. Okay, number one, we will actually get some basic idea about CFA course. That is, what is the exam all about? What are the career prospects, etc., right? And number two is we'll actually do a demo on a particular topic on CFA. I think by this time all of you are already aware that the topic that we're going to discuss is Quants. All right. Please bear in mind that it's a demo, so we are not going to do things in detail. And for the purpose of this discussion, I've taken a few concepts which I think would interest you. All right. The purpose of demo is once again to show you a couple of things. One is to basically show what are the teaching philosophy that we follow in Pristine. And that will give you a typical idea of the kind of classroom session that you will be attending going forward. And of course, the other part is to give you some idea about the whole CFA exam structure. That is, what are the typical topics that you will come across in CFA. Many people, they say the best way to learn is to do things. So through demo, we are trying to give you a direct experience of the kind of questions and the kind of topics that you will see on CFA. All right. So I have a few questions which have already come. So I thought probably I just answer them before that I go ahead. So I have a question from Vinith Patel. Is it going to start sharp at 7 p.m. or will it take some time? Vinith, we have already started at 7 p.m. Thanks for your patience. I have a question from Sukhbir, how to prepare CAT exam as quantitative. Sukhbir, this is actually meant for CFA exam, so I'm not sure what expectations you had. But CFA exam quants are, I would say, totally different from the quantitative methods that you do on CAT. All right. So in case you're more interested in knowing about CAT related quantitative methods, we can always you can always talk to our coordinators here, and they'll help you out on that. Okay, but this is meant for CFA. So let me set the expectations very right from the beginning. All right. Z says there are some problem as I see some this window and other window. That's okay. A bunch of hi goes to all of you who have given me, who have put your hi on the question box. Since there are too many of you, as I said, probably I'll not waste time reading each and everybody's name. But once again, really appreciate the fact that you guys took time on a Sunday evening to come for the demo. Thank you very much. All right, I'm just scanning through your questions. Mohit Bir says, I am not audible. Mohit, please let me know if this problem is still persisting for you, because I feel that everybody else is able to hear me properly. If at all anything, I usually get complaints of the fact that you're too loud because I have a very hoarse voice. Okay, can't help. Same with Giovanni. Guys, can you guys hear me properly, or is there any disturbance on the line? Okay, Mohit and Pavan, Rajiv, thanks. All of you say that I'm able to hear you properly. Thank you. Yes, loud and clear. Thank you. Okay, guys, thank you. Thank you for your feedback. Okay, so I'm again going to read through some of your questions. Mahesh S. Nair asks, will you be doing time value of money calculation, or is it just the theoretical concepts that we're going to see? Mahesh, we're going to actually see some of the theoretical concepts today, and I'm not even sure whether we'll find time to do time value of calculation. As I said, please, I want to set your expectations very clear. We are going to do a demo, and demo is not an actual class, right? So the idea of demo is more importantly to get you some idea about what lies ahead for you when you take up CFA course, and from my perspective, more to give you some insight about the teaching methodology that we follow, right? How do we interact with students, and what are the typical kinds of classes that you can expect from this perspective. So pardon me if I'm not able to, get too much into details of the topics, because, at the end of the day, with 2-hour demo, there is only a limit of what we can do. All right. So I'll definitely try my best to lay my hands on time value of money concepts, but let's see how it goes. All right. Mahesh says, can you write a little bit more clearly? Mahesh, I'm trying my best. My handwriting is quite bad. I used to always get scoldings in my school days and college days, saying that your handwriting is really bad. So I'm trying my best. I can totally understand your problem, because sometimes even I can't read what I have written. Okay, I'll try to be a little bit more legible. I'll try my best. Sure. I'm getting a lot of questions, so sorry guys. I'm taking some time to go through them. So there is. So one thing I want to make clear, that by this time you guys have already got some idea about what you can expect from webinar classes, right? So number one is that if you notice, most of your mics have been muted out. The reason is, believe me, it becomes very tricky when you're, so I think we already have 60 people who have joined us. So imagine if, given that in a webinar class we don't have the luxury of seeing each other, it can become very tricky if I allow everybody's mic to be turned on, because we can imagine if 30 people talk together, is going to be a problem for all of us. So that's why the way we follow in webinar classes is that usually one person talk, which is yours truly here, your lecturer, and others usually interact using question box. So that way at least I have a control of what, and by this time again you would have noticed that any question that comes in the question box, at least I try to make sure that I read out the question so that everybody first hear the question, and then we try to answer them so that everybody is able to understand and move ahead. Otherwise, with so many people talking, it becomes very complicated too soon. Okay. Having said that, if let's say there is some problem in you guys trying to write a particular question, or you're not able to give that in writing, as an exceptional case, I can always turn on the mic, but please treat that as a real exception. Okay. For the most part, we will follow this methodology where I'll be talking, and you guys can put your questions on the question box. I promise to read most of the questions. All right. So that's a philosophy that we follow in webinar classes, and usually works well. All right. So again, there are so many questions. I'm trying to catch with them. So give me some time, please. Swadhin Malik says, what are job prospects post level 1? Swadhin, I'll get to that a little later. Okay, so the way I have tried to structure today's session is that probably for 1 hour we'll do an actual demo on a particular topic, as I said, on quants. And then I'll get into the later part of the hour, I'll get into CFA career prospects and exam prospects. The reason I have done it this way is, as you can imagine, right, there are around 60 people, 61 people now who have joined, and each person have their own different background that they come with. So if you ask me questions like, this is my background, is CFA going to help me, do I really get CFA charter? It becomes very difficult for me to answer each and every person. So I'll give you a general idea about CFA exam, what you can expect, what are your career prospects, and then to make sure that your questions are answered, I'll leave you with, the names of various career counselors from Pristine, and you can always talk to them, or you can always interact with them at detail. You can actually say this is your background and have further details about how CFA is going to help you, whether you're going to get CFA charter or not. Okay. So once again, believe me, this methodology works because it's humanly difficult for me to answer, questions of each 63 of you, based on your background and things like that. Okay. But definitely I'll give you some idea about what CFA is, what you can expect from doing CFA. All right. So there are a lot of questions coming in. So Gaurav asked, can we record this session? Yes, Gaurav, this session is already recorded. For further details, you can second contact Pristine coordinators. They'll give you video for this session, so that's not a problem. Okay, Santosh says, please start, don't waste your time. So I'm going to start that in some time, Santosh. Santosh Rajpal says, have I joined? Yes, you have joined, Santosh. If you're able to hear and interact with us, that means you have logged in successfully, not a problem. Akhil asks, is Pristine available in Delhi? Yes, Pristine is very much available in Delhi, Akhil. A lot of you have asked about my background and name, so I'll do that in a moment. Okay, there are just too many questions. I'm sorry. I'm trying my best to answer most of you. Some of you have asked, give me some tricks to solve quantitative questions. I'll try to do that. Okay. All right. So I think for now I'm going to ignore all questions on this is my background. Is CFA beneficial for you or not? So I'll actually try to answer that in the later half. All right, guys. I hope you understand my difficulty because answering each and every, all of you come from different backgrounds. So I would love to do career counseling myself, but given in the interest of time, probably we'll take that for later part of the day. All right. So let me give some introduction about me. My name is Karthik. Once again, my handwriting is quite bad. Please bear with me. My name is Karthik. I actually come from an engineering background. I've done my BTech, and I have been in financial industry for around close to 10 years now, 9.5 years. Okay, and I have done both CFA and FRM. That is, I'm both a CFA charter holder as well as an FRM charter holder. All right. And before you ask this question, yes, I completed both CFA and FRM while I was working. So I never took a break from my job. While I was working, I completed both CFA and FRM, and all of them in first attempt itself. All right. In terms of my teaching, I'm relatively new to teaching. So like you, I'm also learning myself. I have been teaching with Pristine for close to more than a year now, and yeah, I'm happy that I get to interact with smart minds like you. All right. In terms of classes, I take classes for both CFA and FRM, both online and offline classes, and for all levels. All right. So I hope that background gives you. In terms of what I'm working in a hedge fund industry at the moment. I take care of both middle office and back office operations, various functions such as valuation, portfolio trade accounting, pricing, business analysis, and risk management. All these functions report to me. So yeah, I hope that gives you some idea about Please don't ask me about my salary. I can't reveal that. But it's a good, decent amount. All right. Let me say it that. All right. Bharat asks, what is a hedge fund? Hedge fund is basically like, hedge fund is a concept which is primarily Indians are not aware of, because in India hedge funds are not supposed to operate. Hedge fund is like a mutual fund, but which is much more secretive, right? So they have they deal with much more volume of transaction, much more asset under management, and they, unlike mutual funds and other fund houses, they are not regulated per se, so that they need not report their holdings, they need not report your trading strategy. All right, so that's the idea. Anyway, all of you will be studying what is a hedge fund and other details of hedge fund in CFA level 1. So more details in CFA. All right. I'm going to ignore other kind of questions such as what is a mid cap, what is a large cap, etc., because I just will not have time to answer all of them. As I said, let's make it a little focused discussion. We'll do this demo and then we will get into questions regarding CFA. Okay. Any topics on CFA, you can always attend classes and we can always, you'll learn more about that. There are much more time to learn about that. All right. So without wasting much time, I'm going to start. Once again, I apologize because there are so many questions coming. I'm finding it difficult to keep track of all these questions. Okay. All right. So the topic that I took today was quantitative method, because I get a lot of a lot of questions from people saying that I find quantitative a little difficult to study in CFA. Okay, so I thought I'll dispel that myth. Quantitative methods are not that difficult. In fact, I would go to say that whatever you're studying in quantitative methods, around 50% of that is already what you have studied in your elementary mathematics, your 8th class, 9th class mathematics. Okay, so it's just a case of refreshing whatever you have studied. All right. So we'll see that. Okay. So let me get into it. Right. When it comes to Pristine lectures, we specifically give emphasis on what is it required for doing well on the exam perspective. Okay. That is. So let's talk about Quants in particular, right? So Quants is given a weightage of around 10% to 15% on CFA level 1 exam. So what do you mean by that? When it comes to CFA level 1 exam, you have totally 240 questions. Okay, all these questions are multiple choice questions. 240 questions because you have 120 questions that come in the morning session and 120 questions that come in the afternoon session. Okay, so basically by this time we get an idea. Your CFA level 1 exam has 2 sessions. Morning session, which usually happens 9 to 12, and afternoon session that usually happens 2 to 5 p.m. All right. Each session is 3 hours duration. When it comes to CFA level 1, in morning session you have 120 multiple choice questions, and similarly in afternoon session you have 120 multiple choice questions. All the topics are included in your morning session. Similarly, all the topics are included in your afternoon session. So it's not that you write specific topics like quants, economics in morning, and then you attend the FSA or others in afternoon. All the topics are included in morning, and similar. In other words, there is no difference between your morning session and afternoon question paper. They're going to be very similar in terms of contents of topics that are going to be included. Okay, but the reason why CFA conduct 2 sessions is basically for your own advantage, because let's say if you had an off time during morning, let's say for whatever reason, either you're not able to focus or you were too tired because you didn't have proper sleep in the previous night, there is always a possibility that you can do well in afternoon exam, and the final result is average of your morning score and afternoon score. So that way at least there is a good possibility that by taking 2 attempts at the same paper, you may actually do better than doing a single attempt. All right. So now coming to quants in particular, the weightage given is around 10 to 12% actually. Okay. So what it means is if you're going to get 240 questions, overall. 10% of that, that is around 24 questions, can be expected from quants. That is around 12 questions in the morning and 12 questions in the afternoon could be on quantitatives. So quantitative method is quite significant that way from its weightage given on the exam. All right. Santosh says he's not able to hear me. How about others? I hope you are able to hear me. Santosh, if this is a problem only to you, then I suggest please log off and log in. See, usually Sunday evening there is a big network traffic that usually happens, so you can't really help. Internet is overloaded on Sunday evening. So looks like this problem is only localized to you, so please you can please log off and log in. Sunia says, I'm able to hear you, but you're not answering my question. Sunia, sorry, I missed your question. As I said, there are just too many questions on the question box now that I'm actually trying to manage it. So I'm sorry, I forgot your question. I'm trying to. So I guess you asked my name. I told my name. My name is Karthik. Pardon me in case I missed your question. All right. So about the CFA exam, as I said, I'll try to answer that in the latter part of the hour. Let's first just focus. Assume that all of you are writing CFA exam. So let's just focus on how a typical classroom session would be on CFA. Okay, so let's try to enact that for now. All right. So please, once again, I'll try to answer all of your questions. Give me some time. Okay. All right. So let's get on with the topic. The topic that we're going to study today is concept of probability. So what do you mean by probability? What is probability? Anyone? Right. So Pawan Sanjay says it is chances of occurrence. Austin says may or may not. Perfect. Right. People says chances of occurring something. Perfect. Right. So all of us understand what is probability in our usual daily life, because most of us do work on probability. If somebody asks me, let's say if I randomly ask one of you, what is the probability that you'll pass the exam, CFA Level 1 exam, you may say, yeah, probably it's 50%, 60%, right? So we all talk about probability in our daily life. It's just a case of understanding what probability is. So as most of us have already outlined, probability is nothing but chances of occurrence. First thing that you need to know is probability only applies for uncertain events or random events. Mathematically we call these events random events. What do you mean by that? Whether you pass the exam or not tomorrow is an uncertain event. You may pass, you may not pass, right? Similarly, if India can beat England in Tuesday's cricket match, it's also an uncertain event. It can happen, it cannot happen. So usually you associate probability with an uncertain event. Anything which is certain, there is no reason to ask probability, or in other words, we'll say probability is usually 100%. Okay. So probability is always associated with an uncertain event. In mathematically, we call such an event as random event. Okay. And as you have already said, probability is nothing but chances of occurrence. That is, you have some event of interest. You want to know what are the chances of that event occurring. Okay. So let's try to understand probability in a little bit more detail. Before that, let's try to first understand these terminologies. So there is a random variable. As we said, random variable is nothing but something which is uncertain. Any event which is uncertain will be called a random event or a random variable. Okay. So in our example, you writing the exam and the result of an exam, result of your CFA Level 1 exam is a random event. Each random event have a set of outcomes. Outcome means the random event, when you conduct the random event, a series of outputs can happen. That is, in our example, the result of CFA level 1 is uncertain, therefore it's a random event. What are the possible outcomes? Either you may pass or you may fail, right? So passing is one of the outcome of your results of your CFA level 1. Similarly, failing the exam is also another outcome of the random event, which is result of CFA level 1 exam. Okay. So outcomes are nothing but observed values of your CFA, observed values of your random variable. Okay. A set of all possible outcomes is called a sample space. That is, in the same example that we are dealing with today, right? So same example that we are dealing with today, you have the random event is result of CFA level 1 exam. Passing the exam is one outcome, failing the exam is one outcome. Are there any other possible outcome? Probably not. You know, it's not that you're 50% pass or 30% fail, nothing like that, right? So the two outcomes, that is passing the exam and failing the exam, together are called sample space. That is, these are the whole set, which are set of all possible outcomes for a random variable. Make sense? So once again I repeat, what we have studied so far is probability is associated with any uncertain event. Okay, the uncertain event is called a random variable. Each random variable has a set of outcome, which are nothing but possible values of that random variable when the actual event happens. A set of all outcomes which are possible for a random variable together is called a sample space. So in the example that we have seen so far, result of a CFA level 1 exam is a random variable because it's uncertain. It can take two possible outcomes, passing or failing. Together, these two outcomes, passing or failing, are called sample space. Okay? Let us take a different example. When you roll a die, all of us know what is a die, right? So when we see our, those who have observed Mahabharat serial, Shakuni actually, rolls a die and say, I want a 6, right? So that is your die, okay? When you roll a die, what face you will get is again an uncertain event. So rolling of a die is a random event, random variable. What are the possible outcomes? You may get a face of 1, or you may get a face of 2, or you may get a face of 3, you may get a face of 4, you may get a face of 5, you may get a face of 6, right? So all these, getting a 1, getting a 2, getting a 3, 4, 5 or 6 are outcomes of this random event. Can you get any other possible outcome when you roll a die? No, right? Either you'll get either 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 or 6. You can't get anything. You can't get like 30% 3, 40% 4, nothing like that is possible, right? So together these values, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and 6, together is called sample space for this random variable, which is rolling a die. Okay? Now let's move on to the next set of definitions. Mutually exclusive events and exhaustive events. Mutually exclusive, as the term means, if one exclusive means they both can't occur together. That is, if one outcome occurs, automatically others are guaranteed not to occur. So let's take the same example, right? First, let's take the example of result of CFA level 1. One of the outcome is passing the exam. If I pass the exam, I'm guaranteed not to fail the exam. In other words, if I get an outcome of pass, the outcome of fail is automatically guaranteed not to occur at the same time, right? So we say passing and failing, these two outcomes are mutually exclusive events. That is, they both can't occur together at the same point of time. That's very important. Okay. Similarly, when I roll a die, if I get a face with 1, I'm automatically guaranteed that I won't get 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. Therefore, all these outcomes, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 are mutually exclusive. That is, the moment I get one value, I'm guaranteed not to get any other value. Okay. Then you have the concept of exhaustive events. Exhaustive events basically mean these are all the events that are possible. Exhaustive events is nothing but all events that are listed in your sample space. That is, apart from these events, there are no other outcome that is possible for a random variable. So once again, continuing with our example, the result of a CFA level 1 exam is either pass or fail. Apart from them, I can't expect to have any other outcome. It's not that I have 50% pass, 50% fail, right? Or it's not that I am in waiting list. None of these results come out. Okay. So I can say that pass, fail are mutually exclusive because if one even happen, others are not guaranteed to happen. And they're also exhaustive because these are only the 2 outcomes that are possible for result of CFA level 1 exam. Similarly here, when I roll a die, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are mutually exclusive because if I get a face with 1, automatically I'm guaranteed not to get a face with 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. Similarly, they are all exhaustive. That is, when I roll a die, I may get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 and nothing else. I can't get any value in between. I can't get a value more than 6. I can't get a value less than 1. Okay. So that is the difference between a mutually exclusive and exhaustive events. I'm trying to read some of your questions. Some of you have there's one question, can event be mutually inclusive also? If yes, how? Mutually inclusive, what do you mean mutually inclusive? That is, both the events are possible partially. As I said, let's say if you get something like, let's take a hypothetical example, okay? Let's say apart from your results of CFA level 1 exam, apart from pass and fail, you have a new possibility called borderline, okay? So borderline is nothing but 50% pass, 50% fail. Okay. So then this becomes mutually inclusive. That is, borderline is nothing but half pass, half fail. That is, they're mutually inclusive. It's a very hypothetical example because usually you never get an event which is mutually inclusive. Okay. Usually talk about events which are separate, mutually exclusive. Okay. So mutually inclusive is more a theoretical consideration. You usually never get such an example. All right. Akhil has a question. What is the difference between sample space and exhaustive events? Nothing much. Okay. As I said, your sample space is nothing but set of all possible outcomes. It's a set. Okay. Sample space is a set which contains all your possible outcomes. Okay. So when you talk in terms of sample space, you're talking in terms of a set. Whereas exhaustive events are nothing but events which are the only possible outcomes. Okay. So as I said, exhaustive events is nothing but all events which are listed in a sample space. So there is not much of a difference, just that one is talking in terms of set, the other one is talking in terms of elements of a set, which are events. Okay. Sumit says it's a very boring class. Sumit, please give me feedback on how you think we can do this class more interesting. I'll be more than happy. As I said, I'm also new to teaching, so I'm learning how to teach better. All right. Tanay says, please be a little bit fast. Sure, Tanay, I'll try to do fast. See, I can definitely cover all this concept in 5 minutes. I'm not sure whether you guys can. See, I've always believed that the idea of teaching should be to make sure that students learn, not necessarily to go fast or not necessarily to finish the concepts. Okay. Having said that, say this is like this, all these classes are your classes. So if you feel that I should go fast without bothering whether you guys are understanding or not, I'll be more than happy to do it. Okay. At the end of the day, I'm your servant. Whatever you want, I'll do it. No problem. Okay. Tani says, are my questions readable? Because I have not received any answers. Tani, be assured that your questions are all readable. Most probably, unlikely, I am not finding time to go through your question. Okay. So sorry about it. As I said, there are just so many questions coming in. I'm finding it a little difficult to, get into that. All right. So let's move on. So having understood all this cases, let me take another example because some of you have, asked for another example. Let me take another example, which is tossing a coin. Okay. When I toss a coin, tell me, is toss of a coin a random event or not? It's a random event because when I toss a coin, I'm not guaranteed whether I'll get head or tail, right? That's why people do toss when they go for cricket matches, right? Because somebody's luck can favor that day. Okay. So toss of a coin is a random event. What are the possible outcomes? I may get a head or a tail. Are these outcomes mutually exclusive? Yes, because if I get a head, I'm guaranteed not to get a tail. Even though in movies sometimes they show that your coin is exactly at the center, not head or tail. Practically it never happens. When you toss a coin, you get either a head or a tail. Okay, so they're mutually exclusive. Are they exhaustive? Yes, because when you toss a coin, you will not get any value other than a head or a tail. Okay. So basically what you have seen is tossing of a coin is a random event. Outcomes are head or tail. These two outcomes are mutually exclusive and exhaustive. So let's keep moving on. Now let's come to the concept of probability, right? Probability, as we said, is nothing but chances of occurrence. Probability tries to assign a numeric value for this chance. Probability is basically defined as number of ways you can get your event of interest divided by number of ways you may get your outcome for a event. So I've used another terminology which is event of interest. Event of interest is nothing but the outcome of one of the, or its event of interest is nothing but that outcome that you're interested in. So let's take the same example of toss of a coin. When you toss a coin, you may get head or tail. So let's say I am Dhoni, I'm going for a cricket match toss. I say I want a head. So when you toss a coin, your possible outcomes are head or tail. The event of interest is probably getting head. Okay. So probability is nothing but the value of probability. Numeric value of probability is number of ways I can get event of interest divided by number of ways a possible outcome can happen. So in our example, a number of ways you can get a possible outcome is 2, because when I toss a coin, I may either get head or a tail. So number of possible outcomes are 2. Denominator is 2. Number of ways I can get event of interest is only 1, because there is only one outcome where I get head. So probability becomes 1 by 2. I'll take another different example. Okay. Let's say my random event is when I roll a die, I want to get an even number. Okay. This is my random event and this is my event of interest, that is getting a value which is even number. When I roll a die, what are the possible outcomes? I may get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what are the possible outcomes? Totally 6. So denominator is 6. What are the different ways in which I may get event of interest? So if I get 2 as an outcome, that is an even number. If I get 4 as an outcome, that is also an even number. If I get 6 as an outcome, again I'll get an even number. So totally there are 3 ways. So you get 3 by 6, 1 by 2. Okay. So this is your probability. Okay. Probability is nothing but assigning a numeric value for your chance of occurrence. It's nothing but number of ways of your event of interest divided by number of ways of all possible outcomes. Okay. So most of you have complained this is very basics of probability. Yes, because for you to learn something significant, you have to always start with basics. And once again, my idea is to carry those students who haven't got a chance to learn this basic. So let's get into the next topic, which is a little bit more advanced. Before that, let's see a couple of small properties about probability. Probability have two important properties. One is the mathematical value of a probability can always be between 0 and 1. That is, maximum probability you can ever get is 100%. 1. Even though colloquially I say I'm 120%, I'm 120% confident that I'll pass the exam. Numerically or mathematically, that is not possible. You may only get 1. Maximum is 100%. Okay, and sum of probabilities of all possible outcomes always equal to 1. All right. So these are two important properties of probability. All right. Since most of you are a little, impatient, let me get into the important topic. Let me get into other advanced concepts of probability. Okay. So pin 2 and others, I hope you will find this topic to be a little bit more interesting. Okay. See, once again, guys, please keep the bigger picture in mind. We are not doing an actual class. We are trying to do a demo session. The purpose of this demo session is more to demonstrate how typical interactions happen in a class. Okay. And I, as a teacher, it's my responsibility to make sure that majority of the classes, majority of the students, even though some of you may have already understood this concept, some of you may be learning these concepts for the first time, I have to make sure that I cater to all of your requirements. All right. So please be patient. We're getting into these topics, right? So now, having gone through the concept of basic probability, let's understand a little bit advanced probability. One of that is conditional probability. Okay. So what do you mean by conditional probability? Anyone? Let's take an example. Okay. I go to one of you. Okay. And I ask you, tell me what is the probability that you'll pass the exam. You'll say that probably 50%. Okay. Next day, I ask the same person, what is the probability that you will pass the exam given that I leak the question paper and give it to you? Will your answer be same or different? Most likely different. You'll say that, yeah, now I'm 80% confident I'll pass the exam. 80% because even if you leak the question paper, probably I need to at least study to answer all those questions, right? That's why I'm not saying 100%. Okay. But what has changed between this and this? When I say, tell me your probability of passing the exam, you say 50%. But when I say, tell me the probability of passing the exam given that question paper is already leaked and you get a hand on the question paper, you say it's different. The difference is because I have added a condition, right? In the second case, the condition was that the question paper is already leaked and you have hands to that question paper. So your probability can change depending on the condition that is provided. And the probability that you assign given that a condition has already occurred is called conditional probability. Okay. Let me take a slightly different example. So in Tuesday, India and England are preparing for a cricket match, right? So I ask, what is the probability that India will beat England? You say 50%. I say, all right. I ask a different question. Let's say Tuesday it is going to rain very heavily, and probably the match is going to be reduced from 50 overs to 20 overs. Indians are known for good, match when the overs are reduced. So now I ask, tell me what is the probability that India beats England given that rain has already occurred? You say probably a different value, 80%, because Indians are good at playing 20 overs game, right? So what is the difference between this and this? In the previous case, probability that India beats England was without any condition. So we say that is unconditional probability. Okay. The second case, that is probability that India beats England given a condition that rain has already occurred. Please note, the condition is not uncertain. Condition has already occurred. Rain has already occurred in the match, or I have already leaked the question paper in my previous example. Okay, so the condition by itself is not a random event. Random event is still the same. That is India, whether it beats England or not, or whether you pass the exam or not. The only difference between these two values is that here you're talking without any condition, here you're talking in terms of a condition. So this is called conditional probability. Mathematically, how we represent is, if A represents a random event, P of A represents probability of getting A. Let's say P of A represents probability that India beats England. Then this is called unconditional probability. That is, this is a probability that you're talking in the absence of any condition. P of A given B is called conditional probability. Okay, it is represented by this bar B. What you understand by this is, what is the probability of A occurring given that B has already occurred? What is the probability that you pass the exam given that I've already leaked the question paper? What is the probability that India beats England given that rain has already occurred in Kochi? Make sense? Any questions? No question? Okay, Sukhbir and Anil says, can you please explain again? Sure, I'll explain it again. So I think all of you have by this time understood what is probability, right? Probability is nothing but assigning a numeric value for some uncertain event. How do you assign a numeric value? We saw in the previous class, that is number of ways something can happen, event of interest divided by number of ways that are possible in possible outcome. Okay. So when I say P of A, I am giving a numeric value to chances of occurrence of A, where A is my event of interest. Okay. Now let's quickly go through this again. When I ask what is the probability that let's A denotes India beating England. This is the event of interest. Okay. India beating England is event of interest. Obviously the random variable here is result of India-England cricket match. Okay, which is uncertain. You never know whether India will beat England or not. Okay, so probability of A denoted by P of A is basically probability that India beats England in Tuesday's cricket match. When I say like this, probability that India beats England, it is called unconditional probability because I have not given any condition. I'm simply saying what is the probability that India beats England in Tuesday's cricket match. A slightly different way of asking this question is adding a condition. Condition means adding a situation. Okay. So I may ask a question. Tell me the probability of A, that is India beating England, given that some condition B has already occurred. The way I denote this is through this notation, A bar B. In our example, B could be something like rain occurring in the cricket match or rain occurring on that day, right? So P of A bar B is read as the conditional probability of A occurring. A is nothing but event of interest, given that B has already occurred. So there is no uncertainty about P occurring, right? There is no uncertainty that I am assigning on whether rain is occurring or not. Assume that the rain has already occurred. Tell me what is the probability that India will beat England. So P of A bar B will be read as, tell me the conditional probability of India beating England, given that rain has already occurred. Make sense? Any further questions? Okay, now let's see another topic in probability, which is joint probability. Okay, so we have seen basic probability, we have seen conditional probability, and now we are going to see the concept of joint probability. So what is joint probability? In joint probability, you are talking about two or more random events. Okay, that's very important. In conditional probability, you still had only one random event. That is, results of India-England cricket match was a random event. Rain occurring or not was not a random event because we assume the condition that rain has already occurred. So when we are talking about conditional probability, there is only one event, which is nothing but your there is only one random event, which is okay. So somebody gives me a feedback that the video is stuck but the audio is working properly. Okay, looks like this is a problem for all of you. So give me a moment, I'll try to fix this problem. So give me a moment, guys. Okay, give me a moment. I think I'll quickly log off and log in because looks like my screen is frozen here for whatever reason. Just give me a moment. I'll quickly log off and log in. All right. All right. So I'm back, and hopefully, you should be able to follow what I'm doing on the board. Just give me a moment. So can you see this, whatever I've written on the board? All right, perfect. Thank you guys. Thanks for the feedback. So sorry for the minor interruption that we had. Okay, so we were talking about conditional probability, and then we just got into the topic of joint probability. Okay, so in conditional probability, if you notice, there is only one random event. That is whether India will beat England or whether you'll do or whether you will pass the exam or not. The condition by itself is not a random event. The condition has already occurred. Okay. So given this situation, when it comes to conditional probability, there is only one random event. Okay. Now we talk about the concept of joint probability. In joint probability, there are two or more random events. Okay. So let me take the example. Okay. Let me take a different example. Let's say there is one random event that you will pass CFA exam or not. That is your results of CFA exam. Okay. Another random event is B, which is you getting promotion in your present job. Okay. Are both of these random? Yes, because you may either pass the exam or not. And assuming that your promotions are now going to be announced in June, again it's a random event. You may either get promotion or not. Okay. So joint probability tries to answer question like, what is the probability that I pass the CFA exam and I also get promotion in the coming June session? Okay. So joint probability is trying to ask questions such as, what is the probability of simultaneous occurrence of two or more random event? So here, one of the random event once again, you're talking about event of interest, right? So one of the event of interest is you passing CFA exam. Another event of interest is you getting promotion. Mathematically, it is denoted by this notation, P of A intersection B. Okay, this operator is called intersection operator. Okay, Santosh asks, is it similar to sets? Yes, it is very similar to sets. Okay. All right. Now, mathematically, now let's talk about your probability again. So, probability of A intersection B, that is probability of simultaneous occurrence of both A and B, can be given as, the equation is probability of B occurring and conditional probability of A occurring given B has occurred, or probability of A occurring and condition probability of B occurring given A has already occurred. Okay. So here the formula that you gave is different. That is for or, probability of A or B occurring. Okay. So there are some golden rules that you need to understand when it comes to probability. Anything that asks a question such as and is always a multiplication operator. Anything that asks a question such as or is usually a addition operator. So here I'm asking question that is probability of I passing CFA exam and I getting promotion. So the moment there is an and, it's a multiplication operator. Okay. So now let's try to understand this. Okay. So joint probability. So this term is joint probability. That is probability of simultaneous occurrence of both A and B is equal to first unconditional probability of B occurring, assuming that first B occurs. That is, let's say first you get your promotion or not. First you know whether you get promotion or not. So the probability of simultaneously getting promotion and passing CFA exam can be explained as probability that you get promotion and conditional probability that you pass CFA exam given that you got promotion. Let's assume that they are related. That is, if you get promotion, you study with much more vigor and you actually may end up passing the exam. Okay. So depending on which event happens first, if B happens first, I can write it as probability of B occurring, that is probability that you get promotion, and conditional probability of you passing the exam given that you have already got promotion. Or let's say your CFA results are going to be announced first, then I may use this equation, that is probability of simultaneously getting promotion as well as passing CFA exam equal to probability that I'll first pass CFA exam and condition probability of me getting promotion given that I have passed CFA exam. Let's say in your organization, people are happy if you pass CFA and they may give you promotion. You never know. Okay. So are we following this? So joint probability is nothing but simultaneous probability of simultaneous occurrence of two or more random events. Here there were two random events, passing CFA exam and passing or getting promotion. Okay. Let's take a slightly different example. Okay. Or let's take the same India-England cricket match. So as of today, there are two random events. Random event A is result of India-England cricket match, and random event B is whether it will rain in Kochi or not, rain or no rain. Okay. So if I ask a question, what is the probability that India beats England and rain occurs tomorrow in India-England, or rain occurs tomorrow in Kochi? I can answer that as probability that, assuming that rain occurs first, I can say that as probability that rain occurs tomorrow and condition probability that India beats England given rain occurs tomorrow. Or let's say I know that first India-England cricket match result will come out and then rain will occur. So I can say that as probability that India beats England in cricket match tomorrow and condition probability of rain occurring given India beats England in cricket match. Let's say rain gods become very happy if India beats England. They actually shower you with rain. Are you guys able to follow this? So joint probability involves two or more random variables, whereas conditional probability is talking about a single random variable but in the perspective of a condition. Any questions? So now you guys want to see this in a slide, so I'll show you in slide. Nothing much, right? So okay, so basically unconditional probability is also called marginal probability. Is just the name for unconditional probability. And conditional probability is where occurrence of one event. So the event has already occurred. So there is no uncertainty about occurrence of that event, but occurrence of that has an impact on occurrence of some other event. Okay. Joint probability, as we said, is nothing but simultaneous occurrence of two or more random events. So if you look at this table, which is what you are likely to get on the exam, this is called a joint probability table. The way you read this table is this: there are two random events, market being good, bad, or neutral tomorrow, and IBM stock either going up or down tomorrow. Okay. So this intersection here, 10% here, is nothing but joint probability of market being good tomorrow and IBM stock being up tomorrow. This 15% is again a joint probability of market being bad tomorrow and IBM stock going down tomorrow. Okay. So these intersections are your joint probabilities. If you see this row wise or column wise sum, this 10% is nothing but sum of this and this. So this 10% is nothing but unconditional probability. That is unconditional probability of market being good, because I've taken away the other condition regarding IBM. So irrespective whether IBM stock is up or down tomorrow, I just want to know what is the probability of market being good tomorrow. There is nothing but sum of this 10% and this 0%. Similarly, if I look at here, if I sum up 5% and 40%, I'm asking a question: what is the probability of market being neutral tomorrow? I'm not attaching any condition on IBM stock. IBM stock can be either up or down. I don't care. So this 45% is unconditional probability of market being neutral tomorrow. Okay. Shashank has a question: from where can I get the recording of this video? Because I have to leave in between. Shashank, just ask your EduPristine coordinator after this class. It usually takes a few days for the video to be available, and then you can definitely assess that. All right. So I hope this gives you some idea about joint probability and conditional probability, right? I have seen a lot of confusion happening during your students find it difficult to distinguish between a conditional probability and a joint probability. Okay. The golden rule is this: that is, conditional probability is talking about probability of a single random event. Only thing is in the perspective of a condition. The condition by itself is not a random event. The event has already occurred. So if I ask a question that, given that rain has already occurred, tell me what is the probability that India beats England. Okay. There is only one random event, that is whether India beats England or not. Only thing I've added a condition. The condition is not uncertain. The condition has already occurred. Let's say the rain has already occurred. Okay. So conditional probability still talks about probability of a single random event. Only thing, given a particular condition. Your joint probability talks about probability of simultaneous occurrence of two or more random events. So probability that India beats England and probability that it rains tomorrow. Okay. So there are two random events: India beating England or not. Similarly, rain occurring tomorrow or not. Okay. So joint probability always involves two or more variables. Conditional probability is talking about a single random variable. So there are questions. Can you explain what is this row-wise sum? So your row-wise sum is once again same. Okay. So let me try to first clean this up. So if you look at your row-wise sum, this 45% is nothing but unconditional probability of IBM stock going up tomorrow, irrespective of what is the state of affairs of market. So I've taken away all conditions regarding market. I'm simply asking question: tell me what is the unconditional probability of IBM stock going up? That will be 10% plus 30% plus 5%, 45%. Okay. So Anil, I hope this answers your question. Similarly, this 45% is unconditional probability of IBM stock being down tomorrow, irrespective of whether the market is good, bad or neutral tomorrow. So I simply sum these three up, I get 55%. Make sense? Any other question, guys? Akshay, that's a question. What type of questions come from this chapter? Akshay will solve one question regarding conditional probability, just to give you an idea about the questions that you may expect on the exam. Okay. So let's do a couple of questions. One is a straightforward question. In fact, both these questions appeared in previous year's question paper. This question appeared in the year 2002. A very simple question for that matter. I'm sure most of you should get this right. So which of the following is not a key property of a probability function? Each probability should lie between 0 and 1 inclusive. So is this a property of a probability function? That is, each individual probability must lie between 0 and 1 inclusive? Yes, because as we said, mathematically, you can only have 0% or 100%. You can never have more than 100%. You can never have less than 0% also. Okay. So 1 is definitely a property of probability function. What about 2? Sum of all probabilities over the entire range of random variable must equal to 1. Is it a property? Yes, this is also a probability. But this is also a property of probability function. That is, if when I toss a coin, I get either head or tail, sum of probability of getting head plus sum of probability of getting tail should always equal to 1, because these are the only outcomes that are possible. Okay, since they are mutually exclusive and exhaustive, the sum of probabilities of all these exhaustive events should always equal to 1. So 2 is also a correct property. The question says which of the following is not a key property of a probability function. So A is also a key property, B is also a key property. The only answer has to be C. Okay. So all of you who answered anything other than C, I hope you get your point now. Okay. Let me know if there are any questions. The idea is, the whole idea of probability function is that each value should lie between 0% and 100%, that is 0 and 1. And sum of probabilities of each and every possible outcome should always equal to 1. Alright. So let's move on. We'll do another interesting question. This is a little more trickier question. It came in the year 2006. Let's see how many of you can answer this. I'll give you a moment to read through the question. Let's try to solve this question. Okay. So this is where you need to be, able to read the question properly. Okay. In CFA, I always suggest students that the moment you get a question in CFA, 2 basic things should be done right. Number 1, read the question very properly, and number 2, look at the options. Only after you do these 2, then you decide what you have to do next. Okay. So let's first try to understand the question, because that is the most important part. Okay. In a particular university, 42% of the students are women. All right. 18% of the students are engineering majors. So 18% of the students in a particular university are engineers. Perfect. Of all the engineers, 22% are women. Okay. So now let's try to associate values. That is, probability that in a particular university I get a woman will be equal to 42%. Agree? If I randomly take a student in a university, probability that the student is a woman would be 42%. Similarly, if I take a student, probability that he or she is an engineering major will be equal to 18%. What is 22%? Read the question properly. Of all the engineers, 22% are women. So the condition is, if you take a person, given that he or she is already an engineer, probability that she is a woman is 22%. So this is a conditional probability. That is, conditional probability of being a woman given that he or she is already a engineer is 22%. Okay. So this is very important that you understand, read the question properly, identify whether it's unconditional probability or conditional probability. 42% is unconditional probability. 18% is also unconditional probability. But 22% is conditional probability. Okay. Sorry. Given, so what is this? Probability that a person is a woman given that he or she is already an engineer graduate is 22%. Now what is the question? If you select a student random, what is the probability that the selected person is a woman and engineering major? So what are you trying to answer? You're trying to answer a question of joint probability. That is probability that the person selected is a woman and she is a engineering major. Simple joint probability formula, this equation, right? Probability of engineering major and conditional probability of the student being a woman given that she is a engineering major. Simple. Put in the equation, you get 18% here, it's 22%. The answer would be most likely A, 396. Are you guys following now? Gives you some idea about the concepts that we have studied so far? Yes? All right. Any other questions? So probably I think that's it for today in terms of quants. Once again, I apologize. I tried to set your expectations right. As I said, this is just a demo. So that's why I've not taken intentionally very complicated topics. At the same time, I've not taken large amount of topics. My idea was primarily to give you some idea about the complexity of topics that you study in CFA, and more importantly, to give you an insight about the teaching methodology that we follow in the class. Okay, how you can efficiently interact with the faculty and how the faculty can interact with you. All right. So Akshit has a question. How can I get question paper of December 2012 exam? Akshit, once again, please contact your career counselor from Pristine. Okay. He or she should be able to help you out with that. Okay. Shashank says, from where can I get the recording of the video? As I said, Shashank, it usually takes a couple of days for the video to be available. So please contact your Pristine career counselor. He or she should be able to help you with the details. In fact, not only this, any questions that you may have on your career, especially, I think most of us have this question saying that this is my educational background, is CFA good for me or not, etc., etc. So more such specific questions, please, contact your career counselor on that. Okay. So there are still so many questions coming. I'm trying to, read them. Some of you have asked my email ID. I can't because I'll give you an email ID once you become my teacher, become my student. Let me say that way. As of now, unfortunately, I can't leave you with my email ID for policy reasons. All right. If you have any specific questions, please contact Pristine directly. They'll be able to help you out. Okay. So now let's try to answer some questions specific to CFA exam in particular. So I'm trying to answer some of the questions that you guys have asked first. Anil Kumar has a question. Will the syllabus of CFA exam change every year, like in case of June and December? Anil, yes, the syllabus of CFA does change, but not so frequently within a year. So I think between June and December, you don't expect much, in fact, hardly any changes. But usually between year to year, there are certain changes that happen. Most of the changes to syllabus are localized to your level 2 and level 3, because that is where you will study recent happenings in financial industry. Level 1 topics usually don't change much. Okay. So once again, I'm trying to answer. Sorry guys, I'm getting so many questions. As I said, I'm trying to just catch up with all of you. Okay. So I think some of you have asked very personal questions, such as, or I would say very specific questions to your background, such as, I've got a job, should I do CFA or not? And some of you have said that I'm working in so-and-so job profile. Is CFA beneficial for you or not? So as I said, guys, given in the interest of time, probably I'll not be able to answer each and every question of you, because there are 65 of you who have joined. What I'll try to give you an idea is, I'll try to give you an idea about, in general, about what is CFA, whether the CFA exam is beneficial for what kind of background, what you can expect after doing CFA and things like that. Once again, if you have any specific question regarding your background, please contact your Pristine career counselor. They'll be definitely able to help you with the details. Okay. So I think okay. So there are a lot of questions about, what is the ideal time for exam and stuff like that. So let me first get into that. Guys, please hold on to your questions. Let me first give you some basic about CFA exam and my opinion or my take on the exam and stuff like that. And then if that doesn't answer your question, we can actually try to see each question. See, once again, please, as I said, in the interest of time, I'll not be able to answer very specific questions such as, this is so-and-so is my background, is CFA beneficial to you? But I promise you that there are people working to help you get this information. Please contact your career counselor, and I promise that they'll definitely be able to answer this question for you. Okay. So let me just give you an idea about, CFA in particular. Okay. So CFA exam is conducted. So there are, I think all of you by this time know that CFA exam is conducted by a group called CFA Institute. It's an organization. Okay. Okay. It's conducted by CFA Institute. CFA exam has 3 levels: level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 1 exam happens, only level 1 exam happens twice a year, that is June as well as December. Okay. Level 2 and level 3 happens only in June of a year. Okay. So the best thing that you can do is clear CFA in at least 2.5 years of time. That is, write exam in December, then write in next June, and then clear level 3 in following June. Okay. 1.5 years to 2.5 years. Okay. However, I strongly recommend that you do June, and June, because that way you also have enough time to study. And also, CFA is a course which is which helps you to understand whatever you're doing in your financial profile better. Okay. all these 3 exams have 2 sessions, that is a morning session and afternoon session, as I said, both of 3 hours duration. Good news is that level 1 and level 2 are completely multiple choice questions. That is, you need not write anything. You have to just select the best option among the 3 choices provided. Level 3 is has 2 parts. The afternoon session is also multiple choice questions, but the morning session is subjective, which means you have to carry your pen and pencil, and there will be use cases provided to you. You have to write corresponding answers. Okay. So except for that, level 1 morning afternoon, level 2 morning afternoon, and level 3 afternoon are all multiple choice questions. Okay. In terms, there is an important point to note, that is, clearing 3 levels of CFA exam doesn't give you CFA charter. Okay. A CFA charter is awarded. So CFA charter is like usage of CFA designation, okay, and that is only awarded if you follow these requirements. That is, you should have cleared level 1, level 2, level 3, and then you should have shown at least 48 months, that is 4 years of experience in investment professional industry. That is, your job profile should either directly or indirectly assist in investment decision making. So once again, I'm giving you a very generic answer. I know each one of you come with a different background. So as I keep saying, for your specific background, please contact Pristine Career Counselor. He or she will be able to help you out. But the general idea is this, okay? Your job profile should be either directly or indirectly assisting in investment decision making. Investment decision making means you take decisions regarding investments, okay? So things like equity research, or if you're a trader by yourself, are straightforward because they are involved in directly involved in investment decision making. Whereas events such as risk management, your back office trade accounting, your valuation, etc., are important functions which indirectly help you in investment decision makings. Every organization need to have a good risk management. Every organization need to have a good valuation support. And they help you in indirectly taking good investment decisions. So if we show 4 years, that is 48 months of experience in these fields, then you get, and also if you clear 3 levels of CFA exam, you will be awarded CFA charter. Believe me, the difficult part of CFA is not getting a charter, rather it's passing the exam. The 3 levels are not so easy also. So once you clear the exam, getting a CFA charter is not a big deal. There are always people like me and many more such career counselors available. So they should be able to and most of us. So your general process of getting your CFA charter is, after once you clear all 3 levels of CFA, you have to get a sponsorship from an existing CFA charter, somebody like me or others who are CFA. And once we ascertain the sponsorship, it's a simple cakewalk. Okay, so getting a CFA charter is not a concern at all. The bigger concern is passing the exam. Okay, so Akshit says, can you explain what is meant by indirect assisting investment trading? So job profile, something like a valuation. Let's say if you're involved in valuing your portfolio, or let's say if you're involved in risk management of your portfolio, or let's say if you're involved in back office trade processing, generating profit and loss statements, generating investment statements, right? So these things don't directly assist in investment decision making, but still they are important functions of an organization which indirectly help you to take good investment decision makings. Only when you value your portfolio well, you may actually figure out which asset classes are doing well, and therefore you may decide on which asset classes are suitable. So these are the functions which help you in indirectly taking investment decision making functions. Okay, so I hope, Akshay, that gives you some idea about what is meant by indirect decision making. All right, or job profile that helps in indirectly helps in investment decision making. There's a question from Sudeepta. Can I opt for relevant experience after passing the exam? Yes, you can definitely opt for relevant experience after passing the exam. But Sudeepta, see, the bigger or the most important thing is CFA program is not a full-time program. So unlike MBA, it's not that you have to quit your job and do full-time program to get your CFA. And good part about CFA is while you are working, you can also give CFA exam. And while giving your CFA exam, your experience that you gain can also be used for charter purpose, which means that let's say it takes around 2.5 to 3 years for you to pass CFA exam. The 3 years, if you're working in a relevant job profile, then all that you need to do is get another year of experience in a relevant job profile, and then you're ready for getting CFA charter. Okay, so I would say one of the advantages of CFA not being a full-time program is that your experience while you're studying also matters. So I would suggest get into that. That will be useful. Okay, I'm trying to go through your questions. There are some questions on FRM, so I'll try to answer FRM a little later once I have answered all questions on CFA. Okay, and then we'll try to compare CFA versus FRM. Okay, so give me some time about that. Sivatej has a question. What if my previous 4 years experience is a relevant experience? Sivatej, you are done. Not a problem. You just need to have 4 years of overall experience at the time of applying for charter. That's all. It doesn't matter when you have attained those 4 years. Okay. Yeah, the point is your current experience has to be relevant. That's the most important thing. Okay. So now let me move on. Regarding the structure of CFA exam and valuation. Okay. So as I said, your CFA exam has multiple choice questions. When it comes to level 1, you have 120 multiple choice questions in the morning, 120 multiple choice questions in the afternoon. Okay. There are no negative marking, so that's a good thing for us. So even if you randomly select any answer and let's say your luck is with you, you still have a chance of passing the exam. Okay. Another thing which works in your favor for passing the exam is the valuation is relative, or what we call percentile based. Okay. So what I mean by that is, I think most of you know what is a percentile ranking system because most of you would have given CAT. The idea is this, right? In a relative valuation, in an absolute valuation system, you need to get absolute amount of mark to pass the exam. So let's say if I say absolute 50%, only those who get 50% they pass the exam. Okay, so that is your absolute valuation system. So basically what it means is, let's say you have one person who has scored 50%, he'll probably be passed. One person who has scored 49.5%, he'll be marked failed. Okay, that is bad, right? Because let's say there are only 3 people who wrote the exam. One person got 50%, one person got 50.5%, another person got 49.5%. The topper himself got 50.5%. He's not so different from the person who got 49.5%. But if you have absolute marking, only these 2 people make it. 49.5 is marked failed. That is unfortunate, right? That's why you have this concept of relative valuation. In relative valuation, what you do is, whatever the mark your topper gets, that becomes your 100th percentile. And all other marks are valued relative to him or her. That is, let's say the same example, you have 3 people getting 49.5, 50 and 50.5. 50.5 is the topper, he gets 100th percentile. 50 will be 50 by 50.5 percentile, and this one will be 49.5 by 50.5%. That is, instead of value against maximum value, maximum score of 100, you recalibrate your ranking against toppers marks. Okay, so this way your improvement increases, right? So now your 49.5 out of 50.5 is very close to what, 90 or even 95, more than 95. So now you become 95th percentile. So the general pass rates in CFA level 1 in particular are around 35 to 40 percentile. That is, as long as you are in 35th to 40th percentile, you have a good chance of passing. Anything less than 35th percentile, you have a problem. Okay, So two good things. One is there is no negative marking, and the other one is it's percentile based. Percentile based means it's relative valuation. So what it means is if you found the exam to be difficult and others also found the exam to be equally difficult, then it increases your chances of passing the exam because relatively you may get into a good percentile zone. Okay. Sumit and Anil have a question. Is CA articleship relevant experience? I don't think so, Sumit or Anil. I don't think CA articleship is considered a relevant experience. Okay. So, as I said, you need to have some experience in. Once again, I can answer this question better if you tell me your background. So please talk to your Pristine coordinator, or he or she will be able to help you better. Okay. In the interest of time, I'll move on. Some of you have asked question that I have not taken maths in my college or school days. Will I be able to learn CFA? Will there be any problem? I don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. So generally, your quants is only 10 to 15% of your overall exam syllabus. Okay, there are so many other topics. So I'll take this opportunity to actually show you the topics that you can expect in CFA exam. Give me a moment. Okay, just give me a moment. Yeah, here it comes. So these are the topics that you can expect to study in CFA level 1 exam. In fact, both level 1, level 2, level 3 are given here. Okay. So if you look at it, your quants is given a weightage of around 12%, and it decreases progressively, 5% to 10% in level 2. Okay. There are so many other topics that make up your CFA exam. Okay. So I don't think this is a problem. Okay. I don't think your background is a problem at all. In fact, I've seen many students do really well in CFA without any mathematical or even for that matter any kind of financial background. I think I myself is an example where I started learning finance only when I started learning for CFA, and there are many more examples where students do not come with a mathematical background, still do very well on CFA exam. Okay. In fact, if you look at it, a major weightage is given to financial reporting and analysis, which is all about accounting. Okay. So this is almost double the weightage given for quantitative methods. So even if you are not very strong in mathematics, you still have a good chance of passing CFA exam. Okay. So that's not a concern at all. All right. Let me try to see other questions that are coming up. Mahesh has a question. What is investment tools which has 50% weightage in level 1? Mahesh, investment tools is a sum of these all. That is quantitative method plus economics plus financial reporting plus corporate finance together constitute 50%. And they are together called investment tools. Similarly, your equity investment, fixed income derivatives, alternative assets together are called asset classes. So this plus this plus this plus this is 30%. Okay. Sudipta has a question. CFA, will it open door for an overseas opportunity? Definitely. CFA charter has a lot of recognition, across the world. Okay. It's a globally recognized certification or charter, and you definitely have a lot of choices for relocating to overseas. In fact, many of my students have already been in working on good job profile outside of the country. So the good thing about CFA is it's globally recognized. Sunias has a question, then how come 120? Sunias, we are not talking about number of questions, we are talking about percentile weight. So 50% weight is given to investment tools. 50% means if you get 120 questions in the morning, 50% of them, 60 questions will come for investment tools. Okay, so it's percentage weight, not number of questions. All right. Okay. Vivek has a question. Is there any self-employment opportunities also after completing CFA? Yes, once again, plenty of them. In fact, you know, most of my students actually take up CFA after they have taken entrepreneurship. When the other day I was having an interesting conversation with one of them, asking what makes you do CFA when you are, you know, everything of the firm. You know, you're running your own firm, and he was saying that I've done a lot of research, and CFA helps you to calibrate, saying that, see, when you are starting a new firm and when the firm is relatively new, you're everything of the firm. You're CEO, you're CFO, everything of the firm. So he says that, you know, I have to make sure that all the investment decisions that I'm taking are actually sound. And by doing a course like CFA, I can recalibrate myself, saying that whatever, am I doing the right thing? You know, am I doing the right thing which is suggested? So Vivek, yes, you know, CFA will definitely help you in setting up your own organization, especially from a financial perspective. That is, you can manage the financial activities of your own organization. So that's a, you know, in fact, I've seen a recent trend where entrepreneurs take up CFA, for that matter. Ashish has a question. Is passport required for registration? Yes. So I'll talk about general procedure of registration. All that you need to do is go to CFA Institute website. Simply fill in your details, give your ID proof. The only ID proof which is recognized for CFA exam is passport. Okay. So 2 or 3 years back, other ID proofs such as driving license and PAN card, etc., were accepted. But now CFA Institute has made things very uncomplicated. They say the only ID proof recognized is passport. So you need to have a passport for writing the exam. Not necessarily for registration, Ashish. You can still, you can email CFA Institute saying that I've applied for a passport. I'll get passport by the time I will write the exam. For now, let me pay the fees, because otherwise I'll end up paying a higher fees. That is acceptable. Okay, so you need not require a passport for registration. Only thing you have to email CFA Institute about the fact that you will get passport before you write the exam. However, on the exam date, you need to carry your passport, because that is the only valid ID proof. Okay, there are some questions about how can I register, when can I register, what fee will I pay. So these are all your questions, answers to your questions. Once again, the registration procedure is very straightforward. All that you have to do is go to CFA Institute website. There is a link saying register for the exam. They'll ask you, some details, your name as it appears in the ID proof, address, etc., etc. And then you just make the payment. Payment can be made through electronic means, that is credit card, debit card, etc., etc. How much you pay depends on how early you register. So I think most of us would have already, lost 19 September deadline. So the next best deadline is 13 February. Before 13 February, if you register, you will only end up paying so much, $1,220. Okay. If you miss 13th Feb deadline, then you have to pay higher amount, a good $350 more. Of course, you can do the mathematics when you convert that to rupee. Okay. So early you register, better it is. Akshay says, will I get a confirmation mail? Yes, you will get a confirmation mail immediately after you have paid. So that's not a concern. All right. How can I make a payment? As I said, it's straightforward. You have to simply use electronic means. And included in your fee is your study materials. So your CFA Institute gives you study materials. They also give you a choice of either getting hard copies or ebooks. So you have to just choose the option. I think there is some $80 difference if you go for ebooks. That is, ebooks will be $80 less in fee compared to your hard copy. For hard copy, you have to pay additional $80, and that includes your shipping charges. Akshit, all right. So your fee already includes your study material. All right. So hopefully this answers questions such as when can I register, how can I register, what is the fee that I pay. All right. There are some questions on calculator usage, so I'll try to answer that. So when it comes to CFA exam, only 2 calculators are endorsed by CFA Institute. One is HP12C, other one is Texas Instruments BA2 Plus or Professional Edition. I strongly recommend you take Texas Instruments BA2 Plus Professional Edition as a calculator. For 2 reasons. One, it is a very good calculator to have. It's very easy to operate. And another reason is the same calculator is also endorsed by GARP. So if you in future if you plan to take up other exams such as FRM etc., then you can simply use the same calculator again. Okay, it's available in most of your online shops, Flipkart, eBay, etc. And I think its price around 3,000 rupee. So should be easy to get. Okay. However, having said that, a professional edition is always recommended, but not necessarily. For passing CFA exam, you can still do without a professional edition, but I would recommend that you take a professional edition. All right. From a perspective of exam, it's not mandatory to have professional edition of the calculator. All right. Okay. Sunias has a question. Where is the exam center in Bahrain? I'm not sure about that, Sunias. You can find it yourself. You have to just go to your CFA Institute website. There they have a link about all the exam centers depending on your region, and you can locate your exam center in Bahrain. All right, so that's easy. Akshit has a question. If I register again for level 2, do I have to pay money? Yes, Akshit. Whatever fee structure that I showed you was for level 1 exam. For level 2, so there are another important concept that you need to know. Level 1, your total fee that you pay is actually has 2 parts. One is program enrollment, which is like a one-time membership fee that you pay to CFA Institute, and the other one is your exam fee. So for those who are writing level 2 or for those who are repeating for level 1, they need not pay this part because it's a one-time fee that you pay to CFA Institute. So those who are repeating for level 1 or for those who are paying level 2 will end up paying so much amount for exam, which is only the exam fee. But this you have to pay for level 2 and level 3 examinations. Okay. So that way, yes, CFA is a little costly exam to conduct. There are questions saying that I've registered in some other city. Can I change my city of exam? Yes, CFA Institute allows you to change your city of exam as long as you inform them at least 1 month or 2 months before the exam date. So 2 months before the exam date, if you inform them that I want to write the exam here, they'll change your exam center without any fee at all. So that's not a problem. Austin has a question. Are pristine notes sufficient from exam point of view? Yes, pristine lectures are definitely very useful. Having said that, I recommend that so here is the deal, okay? The power of pristine primarily is in the classes that you get, okay? Primarily in the interaction that you have with the faculty, because pristine, all the classes are taken by CFA charters who have been working in that industry for long. Okay, so the real power of pristine, in my opinion, is interaction that you get with the faculty. Okay, study materials of pristine are definitely useful, but I won't think they are that comparable to other notes such as Squazure or stuff like that. Okay, so use pristine. So if I were you, what I will do is I'll probably study using CFA Institute textbooks or Squazure notes. Come prepared for classes, and in the classes, in the pristine lectures, I will ask questions which bother me when I have studied, or I've asked questions regarding practical importance of certain topics. So when I was studying, there were a lot of concepts which were, sorry, which I couldn't understand the practicality of it. You know, in the sense like I understand, for example, I know what is a Monte Carlo simulation, but I was never able to understand where will I use this simulation. So that is where somebody like me or others who have been using this in their day-to-day job can help you in understanding the concept. Okay. Similarly, if you have any tips for exam, again, your Pristine lectures are ideal way, because people who have taken the lectures have those who have already passed the exam. They know how much of effort you need to put. They know how much of what important exam tips you need to follow. Okay, so that is where the real power of Pristine comes. Having said that, definitely your study material of Pristine is also good, but I would not rely only on the study material of Pristine. All right. Okay, I'm trying to. Priyambada has a question. Which financial calculator among the two would you recommend? Priyambada, I thought I already answered that. I would definitely recommend Texas Instruments BA2 Plus, if possible, professional version of it. A very good calculator to have. Akshit has a question. Do they have exam center in Delhi? Yes, they have exam center in Delhi. No worries. There is a question saying that is there any age limit for you to pass the exam? No, there is no age limit. You can try passing your exam anytime in your lifetime, so that's not a problem. Okay. I'll talk about FRM exam in a little bit from now. Give me some time. Some of you have asked from where can I get question notes. You can actually talk. Once again, these kind of questions, please talk to your Pristine coordinator. We are running out of time, so I have to answer specific questions. Your Pristine coordinator will help you in any other questions that you have regarding the exam or practicality of, given your background, can CFA exam help you or not. I hope I've given you some decent idea about CFA exam and what it takes. All right. Your exam results are declared, usually around 1.5 months. So after, let's say you write the exam in June, by August, mid to August end, you'll get your exam results. There is no intermediate certificate given. As I said, either you are a CFA or you are not, which means that for you to get a CFA designation, you need to clear 3 levels of CFA and also have shown 48 months of investment experience. Only then you'll be awarded your charter. So there are some questions saying that Sunesh has a question. When we have CFA certificate, MBA is necessary. Okay, so let me try to answer this question. Okay, I think most of you have this general question. Is CFA equal to MBA, or is CFA better than MBA, or what? Should I do both CFA and MBA? Okay. CFA is meant for a career in financial asset management. Okay. So it's a very specific course meant for people who want to become asset managers. So first ask yourself, okay, 10 years down the line, what do you see yourself? If you think you want to become a portfolio manager, or if you think you want to become an alternative asset manager, then CFA is definitely the course that you want to pursue. If you think you want to become a CFO of an organization, yes, CFA is again a good course to pursue. So it's meant for career in financial asset management. MBA, on the other hand, is more generic management. Okay, so they teach you something about generic management, such as something about sales, something about marketing. They also teach you about finance, right? So if you 10 years down the line, if you think yourself becoming a CEO of a firm, then probably MBA is a better choice. Okay, so CFA is meant for a career in finance specifically, in particular in asset management. Okay, so depending on what your take is, you should either do CFA or MBA or both. Okay, so let's say if you want to start your own firm, probably in my opinion, you should do both CFO. You will be both CFO and CEO. Probably you should do both CFA and MBA. Whereas let's say if you only are content with becoming a CFO for a firm, then probably CFA is your choice. But a CFA is better than MBA. Again, that really depends on what kind of job profile you are looking at. If you're looking for a financial asset management job profile, then any day CFA trumps over MBA, even if you've done MBA in finance. Whereas, as I said, if you want to look for general management in bit of finance, then probably MBA is better. Okay, so it really depends on how you want your career to shape up. All right. There is another very frequently asked question, so I'll try to answer that. The question is, what can I expect after I do CFA level 1? Will I get enough job opportunities? Okay, so I'll give you my frank opinion about this. Okay, I also do a lot of recruitment for my own organization, and the general consensus in financial industry is CFA level 1 is more a foundation course. That is, the whole idea of CFA level 1 is to establish that you know something about finance. So primarily it's meant for people who come from non-financial background to get some idea about finance and be on the same level as others. Level 2 and level 3 is where your meat of the whole CFA study is. So for you to realistically get some mileage out of CFA, I would say you need to wait at least level 2. That is where your job prospects really brighten up. And obviously, once you finish level 3, even if you don't have a charter, but if you just say you have finished CFA level 3, you are in a totally different plane altogether. All right. Having said that, there are definitely students who have got very good job after CFA level 1, but I would say that is more because they come already from a good financial background, and CFA level 1 is more an establishment of the fact that they've got an official degree of whatever they feel that they know in CFA or they know in finance primarily. Okay. Again, there is a frequently asked question: what is the expected salary after clearing level 1? As I said, level 1 by itself doesn't make you superstar. You need to wait at least for level 2 and level 3 to get some mileage out of CFA. In general industry situation, of course, your salary is a touchy topic because it really depends on your educational background, how smart you are, and also the general market conditions, and all this in combination with your CFA charter really gives you a good salary. Okay, but a general thumb of, or based on my past experience, I have seen CFA charters earning anywhere between 15 to 25 lakhs at a minimum. Okay, there are people who have got much more than 25 lakhs also. All right. Yashovardhan has a question: how can I get video of this whole recording? Yashovardhan, at the end of this class, I'll leave you with various coordinators, EduPristine coordinators for each different region. Please contact them. They'll help you with accessing the video content or any other specific question that you have regarding your career prospects. All right. All right, so I hope I've answered most of the questions regarding CFA. Let me give you a good, a small brief about FRM and where is the difference between CFA and FRM. Okay, sorry guys, in case I have, I've not been able to answer some of your questions. Okay, so FRM is conducted by an institute called GAP, which is Global Association of Risk Professional. FRM is a course meant for risk management in finance. Okay, so CFA is a very broad concept in finance in general. They talk about asset management, they talk about risk management, they talk about other things, whereas FRM is a specific concept for risk management in finance. Okay, FRM stands for Financial Risk Management. So if you want to see yourself becoming a chief risk officer of an organization or a risk specialist, then FRM is definitely the career that you want to have. Okay, FRM also has a very good reputation in the industry. Those who come from banking job profile know what I'm talking about. There is a recent trend in most of the banks in India and in general across the world to use your Basel regulations. So when it comes to FRM, you study in detail about Basel regulations. Okay, so FRM is again a very up-to-date concept, or up-to-date topics that you study. So if you want to have a career in risk management, such as, let's say if you want to get absorbed in a good rating agency, let's say you want to have a career in risk management in a hedge fund or a mutual fund. Let's say you want to have a career in Basel regulations, related specialist in a bank, or let's say if you want to have a career in general treasury and cash management, then all these places your FRM really helps you a lot, because it's a course specifically meant for risk management expertise. Okay, so I hope that gives you some idea about FRM exam. Can you do both CFA and FRM together? Yes, I did both CFA and FRM together. But again, it really depends on how much of time, effort you can devote for them. Is it possible? Yes, it's definitely possible. But would I recommend it? Probably I will not, because you need to let's take one thing at a time. That's what I will recommend. All right. So once again, there are so many questions coming in. I don't know whether I'll find time to answer all of you, but I hope I've given you some broad idea about what is CFA and what is all about. Some of you have asked this question: Is the exam overall tough or easy when it comes to CFA? See, again, it really. I personally felt that Indians in general are very good at attempting tough exams. Like, in my opinion, two of the most difficult exams that I ever wrote was probably IIT JEE and your CAT. Compared to them, I don't think CFA or FRM for that matter is that difficult. Having said that, people make it difficult if they don't study properly. Okay, especially when it comes to CFA and FRM, most likely you are studying when you're working, and therefore it's very important to have a good work and study balance in your life. So as long as you're able to achieve that, I don't think CFA or FRM exam by itself is that difficult or untouchable. In fact, every year majority of CFA and FRM graduates come out of Asia Pacific region, which is India, Australia, China, and these places. Okay, so we as such are meant for writing these kind of competitive exams. Satish has a question: Can we only focus on Square notes while preparing for CFA level 1? If I were you, I'll probably not do that, Satish. Square notes are good because they give you a good brief about CFA concepts, but they don't tell you anything in detail. And that's where I think for learning some concepts in detail, you need either something like a pristine lecture, or you need to study CFA textbooks, because CFA textbook really, if you look at any concept in CFA textbook, they give you a good background, they give you an actual practical example where you study this concept, etc., etc. So, and there are always one or two topics. Even though Square is good because it gives you a concise, 10 pages in Square, 10 pages in your CFA textbook is concise into probably 1 page in Square. But there are one or two concepts where I feel Square has not done good justice to the concept, and that's where I feel you should probably refer to either CFA textbook or talk to a professional. But yeah, in general, Square is good, but I won't use only Square for passing CFA exam. CFA versus CA, I think I thought I've already answered this question. CFA is a career meant for financial asset management. CA is general accountancy, so if you want to specialize in tax or you want to specialize in auditing, CA is definitely your career that you want to have. There is a good overlap of CFA and CA because for you to be a good investment professional, you need to be able to identify which companies are doing well. So automatically that involves a significant amount of studying your balance sheet and income statement, which in turn requires you to understand accounting well. But yeah, CFA is much more than simple accounting. It involves how can you exploit opportunities in the market to generate alpha. Okay, so it's a career meant for asset management. Some of you have asked the reverse question, that is, I come from engineering background, if I don't really know much about accounting, so would I do well in exam? Yes, I think I've given you my own example. There is probably you need to work a little bit harder than others who come from an accounting background, because majority of CFA level 1, the weightage is given for financial statement analysis, which involves understanding accounting, reading balance sheets, reading income statement, but it is not definitely impossible, and in fact, as I said, majority of students who do well in CFA have been from engineering backgrounds. It's not that your background is a showstopper for you to do well on the exam. All right. Sumit says CA is not simple accounting. Yes, Sumit, I understand that. I was just trying to, or instead of saying CA is not only accounting, I should have said CA's primary focus is accounting. All right. There are other things also for a CA. I agree, completely agree on that. All right. All right. I think that's all from me. We are running overshooting the time. So as I promised, I'll give you details of various Pristine coordinators that you can check with. They will be there to help you with any questions that you might have on any specific question that you might have on about your background, how much is CFA useful for your background, etc., etc. I think there are some more questions coming in. I'll try to quickly go through them. Somebody has asked, when it comes to Pristine, you're only giving 26 classroom sessions for CFA. Is it enough? More than enough, in my opinion, because each session is around 5 hours duration. So 26 session means you have 130 hours. In fact, the last 6 sessions are 8 hours duration. So you actually get around 148 to 150 hours of study. Quite significant. Okay, so I'll feel they're definitely better. And as I always say, use your Pristine lectures, smart. So if you come without prepared to the class, obviously you will find a lot of problem. But if you, so every day or every week by Wednesday, it's already announced what class you are going to attend the coming weekend. So it might not be a bad idea to come prepared for the class and use your classroom as a platform to either solve as many questions as possible, because that is going to be your output on the exam, or ask questions about concepts that you are not clear with. Okay, so if that is the focus for classroom sessions, then I'm sure you'll do well on the exam. All right. So that's it, guys. I don't think I'll find time to answer much more questions. I'll give you a number, and probably you can actually talk to this person about any details you might have. Any career counseling, you can definitely ask her. So give me a moment. I'm just taking up the number. The person name is Sarita. She's one of the founders of Pristine, and her number would be 0971 7466554. Okay, I'll repeat the number, 0971 7466554. You can also reach her at sarita@edupristine.com. So for those who missed the number, I'll repeat it, 0971 7466554. The person is Sarita. She's one of the founders of Pristine, and she can definitely help you out with any career counseling that you have. That is, I come from so-and-so background. Is CFA good for me? How should I, proceed with studying CFA? What offerings Pristine have for a person with my background, etc., etc. All right, guys. So that's all for me. Thank you very much for taking your time off during the weekend and coming to this demo. I hope I have tried to answer most of your questions at a high level, and all the best for you in your future endeavors. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of the weekend that you have, and have a great week ahead. Thank you. Bye. Good night.